Hey, hi, this is Corey Minter, and we're going to go over Chapter 3 now, which is the legal concerns and insurance issues. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about the legal concerns for the athletic trainer. It's critical to be mindful of the litigious nature of our society as it relates to healthcare. People do like to sue. Athletic trainers are held accountable for their patient care. Potential exists that techniques and procedures used by athletic trainers may result in legal action due to issues of liability and negligence. Liability is the state of being legally responsible for the harm one causes to another person. Okay, let's talk about standard of reasonable care. So we have negligence, which is a failure to use ordinary or reasonable care. Then standards of reasonable care. It assumes that a person is of ordinary and reasonable prudence. Okay, it brings common sense approach to the situation. A person must operate within their appropriate limitations of their educational background, so long as they don't try to act above and beyond what they have been taught, then that's within your reasonable care. So establishing negligence. A duty of care has to exist for the injured individual and the person responsible for the injury. The person needs to fall short of what their duty of care was meant to be. Okay, the defendant caused that injury to occur because of their negligence, and personal property or punitive damage had to be the result. Torts or legal wrongs committed against a person, they're the liability results. Torts can emanate from nonfeasance, which is failed to perform legal duty, or malfeasance, which performs action that is not his or hers to legally perform, like performing outside your scope of practice. Okay. And then you have misfeasance, performs an action incorrectly that he or she does have a legal right to do. Okay, so you did what you were taught to do, but you did it wrong. Okay. So proving negligence. A caregiver does something that is reasonably prudent, that a reasonably prudent individual would not do. A caregiver fails to do something a reasonably prudent individual would not. Okay, so ones you failed to do it, and the ones that you do it, but you do it wrong. Okay. For a negligent suit to be successful, it must prove that the athletic trainer had a duty to exercise reasonable care, that the athletic trainer breached that duty and established a connection between the failure to use reasonable care and the injury that was suffered by the individual. So it needs to have all those aspects in order to be negligent. An individual possessing higher level of training will possess higher level competence. Once coach or athletic trainer assumes the duty of caring for an athlete, that person has an obligation to provide appropriate care. So once you start the care, you have to finish the care. An obligation to provide services versus the scope of the employment. An athletic trainer at an institution has a duty to provide care to individuals at that institution. And those actions may be protected through sovereign immunity, which is sovereign immunity is neither the government nor the individuals employed by the government can be held liable for negligence. So it's like working for California State University. You're employed by California State, so you're protected under sovereign immunity. And sometimes this varies state to state, so it's always wise to check on what's covered. Okay. Then you have the Good Samaritan Law, which provides limited protection against legal liability to one that provides care should something go wrong. So if you're walking down the street and you see somebody clutch their chest and fall down, and you act to try to save their life, you start giving them CPR, you're protected under a Good Samaritan, okay? Because you hopefully are CPR certified, You're trying to do your care within your educational goal, and say something happened, something went wrong, well, you're still protected under your Good Samaritan law. So statutes of limitation. Okay, there's a specific length of time an individual can sue for injury resulting from negligence. This does vary state to state. Generally, it's 1 to 5 years. The clock begins at the time of the negligent act that results in the suit, from the time the injury is discovered following the negligent act. Now, minors generally have an extension. You have the assumption of risk. Individual is made aware of the inherent risk involved in the sport and voluntarily decides to continue participating. It's expressed in written waiver or implied from conduct of the athlete once participation begins. It can be used as defense against an individual negligence suit. Okay, so the athlete knows, hey, playing football, I do get hit a lot. Good probable cause that I will get injured. I accept that risk because I want to play. So, reducing the risk of litigation. Okay, you need to establish a good working relationship with athletes, parents, patients, and coworkers. Establish policies regarding athletic training facility and coverage. Develop an EAP, like we've talked about. Become familiar with medical history of individuals under your care. Maintain adequate records. Detailed job description. Obtain written consent relative to providing health care. Maintain confidentiality. Exercise caution with regards to medication distribution and modality use. Ensure that safe equipment and that the facilities are safe. Develop an understanding with coaches on how and when an injured participant will be cleared for return to play. So having good return to play protocols. Allow injured players to return following a physician's clearance. That way the liability goes on to the physician. Follow physician's orders, particularly when dealing with participation of an athlete. So you want to follow the guidelines set forth by the physician. You do want to purchase liability insurance. You want to know your scope of practice and then use common sense. Product liability. Liability of any or all parties involved in manufactured product for damages caused by product. This includes manufacture of components, assemblers, wholesalers, retail store owners. Products with inherent defects are subject to liability of suits. It may be based on negligence, strict liability, or a breach of warranty fitness. Manufacturer of equipment has a duty to design and produce equipment that will not cause injury. There's an express warranty, which is the manufacturer's written guarantee of product safety. The equipment has warning labels and informs the individual of possible dangers inherent with product use. Now you see where it says NOCSAE, that's National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment. They set the minimum standards for equipment to ensure safety. Athletic trainers should never alter equipment. Doing so invalidates the manufacturer's warranty. So basically, the athletic trainer, if they altered a helmet or altered pads and there was an injury that resulted from that, then the manufacturer is no longer responsible. Like if the equipment malfunctions somehow, because once it's been altered, all the responsibility gets placed solely on the athletic trainer now because you're the one that altered it. So do not alter equipment. Okay, so let's go over some general health insurance. So next few slides will be over insurance stuff. I'm not going to touch upon all different types. I'll just do a few of them. Okay, but do read over every type. So general health insurance, it's a policy that covers illness, hospitalization, and emergency care, sometimes offered through the academic institutions for students. Secondary insurance provided through institutions to cover costs above primary insurance coverage. Like at state, our athletes have their medical insurance that is their primary. Fresno State is their secondary, so whatever their primary does not cover, Fresno State picks up the rest. Okay. Schools and universities must ensure that individuals have a primary insurance coverage. There's accident insurance. It's a low-cost plan to cover accident on school grounds or in workplace. It protects against financial loss from medical and hospital bills. It provides additional protection for institutions above regular policy. Usually it covers hospital care, surgeries, and catastrophic injuries. Let's do third-party reimbursements. It's a primary mechanism for payment for medical services in the U.S. Policyholder insurance companies reimburse healthcare providers for services rendered. There's a number of different types and of options. They're all prearranged systems. So let's go over some of those. First one we'll go over is our HMO, our Health Maintenance Organization. It provides preventative measures and dictate where individuals can receive care. Permission must be gained to see someone outside of the plan, except in cases of emergency. The HMO will pay 100% of the cost if care is rendered within the HMO plan providers. Athletic trainers must have a working knowledge of the HMO limits and restrictions. Now you have the PPOs, which is the Preferred Providers Organization. They provide discounted health care and also limit where treatment can be obtained. Must be aware what facilities are appropriate for the program in order to have cost completely covered. Okay, may include additional types of coverage, like for physical therapy or chiropractic. The PPO pay on a fee-for-service basis. Let's talk about Medicare. Medicare is a federal health insurance program for the aged and disabled. Most people of age qualify for the benefits. There's two different parts. There's the A, which is a hospital portion, the premium free at retirement to beneficiaries. And then there's B, which is the physician portion. There's a monthly premium charge for that one. And then the last one we'll discuss is Medicaid. Medicaid is a health insurance program for people with low incomes and limited resources. It's funded via the federal government and individual states. Individual states administer Medicaid, and the benefits will vary from state to state. So that quickly went over different insurance stuff. There's more like workman's comp I didn't touch upon. Please look over that chapter and look over each different type and just know the basics on what makes them different from one to the other. Okay, we'll go a little bit more in depth in class on this.